Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Zoom Into Wine. It's time for the show and your host, Ian Blackburn.
All right, good evening, everybody. Happy Wednesday, a beautiful summer's day here in Los Angeles, where we're about to celebrate our Stars of California wine. I just wanted to make sure everybody got our sheet that we produced, so that makes it easy for you. Down here at the bottom, we've got a little brochure that you can click on, a little tasting mat. If you click on that, you'll open up the brochure. You got the connection to all the information about each of the wines. And let's see, you actually didn't follow me when I did that. Let me try that again. Here we go. So down here, if you click on that, it'll go to all the different wines. Hopefully you can see that okay. And we can also share with you down at the bottom the tasting mat. If you have chance to get a couple glasses, it might help your experience tonight. We're going to start with a couple of Burgundy style wines, so Burgundy style glasses, or California style Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. And then we'll move into some great Syrah, some awesome Zinfandel, and then go out swinging with some cab-based wines for our last three. Couldn't have a better lineup of wineries tonight. Really top efforts. Some of the reasons why California is making some of the best wine in the world. And we have so many different things to celebrate here. Just an average Wednesday, though, right?
Indeed. Lots of awesome things to be happy and proud about today.
Yes. Yeah. Nobody got hurt.
Yeah, that too.
So we are excited to present a bunch of awesome wineries, and we're going to get right into it. Rob, are you going to be hosting us tonight with Bernardus? Who's our Bernardus rep tonight? Let me just click open my notes here. I'm supposed to know that already. Hold on a second. Tonight is Jim McCabe, the assistant winemaker for Bernardus. A little round of applause. Hi, Jim. I'm going to ask you to unmute. I'm going to highlight you so everyone.
There you go.
There you are. And I'm going to give you a spotlight right there in the middle. There you are, sir. How are you tonight?
I'm doing well, thank you. This is my first time doing this, so bear with me. So I'll be presenting our 2019 Rosella Chardonnay tonight.
Cool. So, Jim, I got your PowerPoint. Did you get a chance to see that?
You know what? No, this is kind of a last-minute switch. Rob was going to do this, but he couldn't, so I'm doing it tonight.
Well, I think you're going to do just fine, my friend, just fine.
All right, thank you.
And I've already shown the PowerPoint earlier today, so I'm going to open that back up and let me get there. And here we go, tasting mat, Bernardus. And I know the story pretty well too, Jim, so if you need any help, let me know. Jim,
no problem.
Let me ask you a real hard question just to get started, though. What's the relationship with this and Porsche?
Mr. Pon, Bernardus Pon, was a Dutch businessman, and his family bought the export rights to the Porsche group after World War II. And his father was involved in actually designing the Volkswagen bus. And
oh, cool.
Bernardus Pon, he also raced for Porsche, and he raced in Le Mans in the 1960s.
That's awesome. Awesome. And, you know, a lot of people might not have, maybe they haven't tasted Bernardus wines, or maybe haven't been to Bernardus Winery. But Mr. Pon developed an amazing portfolio of hotels, including a Rancho Bernardus Inn, which he sold off a few years. He passed away last year, right?
That's
Jim?
correct. That's correct. Yep.
So he has there are Bernardus hotels all over the world, and now they're owned by another Dutchman.
Yeah, Mr. van der Wallen. He's a Dutch businessman based out of Amsterdam.
Well, very cool, very cool. So I got a bunch of pictures of vineyard sites and stuff. I'm just going to play them slowly as you talk about this beautiful wine that we're about to taste.
Excellent.
And let everybody get started. But you know what we should do, Jim? We should all have a little toast first, don't you think?
I think that's a great idea. If
Okay.
you want to pour yourself a little bit of wine, and we can do a toast.
Let's do a toast to better days ahead, my friends. Better days ahead. Cheers to everybody.
Cheers.
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 Jim,
All
tell
right.
us all about this gorgeous beast of a Chardonnay.
Yeah, so this is from the Rosella's Vineyard in the Santa Lucia Highlands. That's in the Salinas Valley on a bench. That's in the lower Santa Lucia Highlands. It's an excellent vineyard. We get mostly clone 95 and 96 there. We ferment in French oak barrels with 1/3 of the barrels being new oak. Generally, we like to split them up to different yeasts, and then we blend it together, and we make approximately 400 cases of the Chardonnay.
And you guys have a pretty sizable estate, and you make a good amount of your other Chardonnays. It's a Monterey County Chardonnay, but only 400 cases of this single vineyard Rosella's.
That's correct. So this is our smaller production vineyard designates. The Monterey County Chardonnay, we do approximately 25,000 cases of, and then we have some other smaller production wines as well. And then we do have approximately 80 acres planted for estate vineyards with other things like we have some Cab and Merlot planted in Carmel Valley on the Central Coast.
You know, we've got 7 winemakers on this Zoom tonight, and almost all of them have all the wines. So if anybody wants to kick in with any comments or anything, there's a chat box. It's a good place to park questions. Unless you really want to say something out loud, then please come on and do that. Everyone's part of the community here. But this is just a fantastic brand for Chardonnay Pinot Noir. I love the richness here, but even better, that richness gives way to this fantastic stony minerality on the finish that's long and strong and big and bold and round and creamy and textured. And this is why California is really one of the great Chardonnay destinations on the planet.
And this is a great vineyard as well. They have it's mostly Pinot with Chardonnay and a little bit of Syrah. And Gary Francione, who owns the vineyard and farms it, he's a great grower and pays meticulous attention to all his vines and all his farming practices.
Yeah, there's a number of high-end brands that make a wine from this vineyard. It's actually a pretty famous site, and they do tend to sell for a pretty good upsell. The fruit is expensive because it's Santa Lucia Highlands is like prime real estate, ocean view and everything. And so this is what, a $60 Chardonnay?
Yeah, it retails for $50, and we do have it's great weather. We get some warm days with cool nights with not a huge diurnal shift, but pretty steady temperatures all around without it really becoming too hot. So it's a great climate for Chardonnay and Pinot Noir.
Cool. And how long have you been with the property?
I've been here for 10 years now.
Everybody I talked to that has worked with Bernard seems to have been there for quite a while. That's a good long time.
Yeah, we have a good team here. All our guys have been here for a long time. We really like the Santa Lucia Highlands. Excellent fruit, and it makes some really, really good wines.
Well, cool. Well, that's a great way to get started, Jim. I appreciate it. And we've got some great auction items. We're going to raise some money tonight, Jim. We're going to auction off your wine and everybody else's. What we did when we went to Zoom with this project is we created one auction for the week. And so we're out there promoting it all over the place, trying to get people to bid these things up. We're raising money for Children's Cancer Research, Children's Hospital Los Angeles. And this auction will stay open through Saturday, actually, I think till Sunday. In fact, Greg Gura might be on the Zoom with us right now. Greg, are you out there?
I am here. What's up?
How are you, sir? I'm looking for you.
Good.
There you are, buddy. Let me spotlight you. And thank you, Jim. And anyone wants to comment or ask Jim a question, let them know at any point in time. Any of the listeners, we have a follow-up email at the end of the night with where you can connect with all the wineries. We're encouraging you to buy all this wine straight from the wineries, schedule tours to go up and visit when it's appropriate. There's things like trips and bottles and things like that on the auction. What else we got there, Greg?
Once again, we got great donations from all the wineries tonight, Saturday night, some trips, great bottles, magnums, 3-packs. And again, it's worked great. Just like you were able to, move this whole event into the Zoom forum. We've been lucky enough to be able to do the auctions online. So it's been great. All the wineries are sending it directly to the winners. And, last year we had the September event, we had the November event, and in December we wrote a really nice check to Children's Hospital. So it's been great.
Yeah, we were doing events for years with TJ Martell, where Greg was working, and when TJ Martell closed down for COVID, because they're an outdoor concert driven.
Yeah, it's very event heavy.
Yeah. And so one of the people that we're involved with at TJ Martell has his own 501c3 and does big tours, the concert industry. And we want to thank Unite the United as being our 501c3 to receive the funds, and they make the donation through the hospital. So it's really generous of them, because they don't take any of it. They just pass it straight through to the charity, and it's incredible they do that.
And Ian, as you found out, it's sometimes hard to raise money for a charity and then write a check.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, every charitable organization has bills to pay, and if you don't raise enough money, you don't even pay the staff. We've had history doing that in the past. If you don't do it the right way, you get in trouble. So you gotta do it the right way. It's really a challenging world out there. But we did a great job with TJ Martell for years, and now Greg and I are partnering up here to get the money straight to the charity through Unite the United.
Yeah, so it's been a nice 12-year partnership, and I hope it continues.
Thank you, buddy. Well, again, Jim, thank you for being our intro. Before we go to winery number 2, I just want to talk to the crowd for a second and say hi to a lot of folks. And Jim, you're welcome to stick on board. I hope, did you get the flight of wines, Jim, or those went to Rob?
Yep, no, we got it this afternoon. So I have my flight of wines, and I'm going to stick around and taste through. And if anybody has any questions, you can email me or message me, and I'd be happy to answer anything.
And I'll ask you one more question about that. Time in wood, how many months is that in wood approximately?
Okay, so we're gonna leave it on new oak for approximately 6 months on new oak, and then it'll be racked off and blended after that and bottled.
Okay, and that's 100% malolactic and maybe a little bit surly.
I'm sorry, I couldn't.
Little batonnage on that as well.
Little batonnage, yep, yes, and then as close to 100% malolactic with as we can get it.
All right.
So, yeah.
Well, awesome. We got a nice big audience. Most people have clicked on at this point, and I'm very thankful to have you all here. I want to say I'm supposed to be live on Facebook right now, and I forgot. So I'm going to introduce our next vintner and get on Facebook at the same time. And let me make sure I get that correctly. Our vintner tonight is Pete Sorghul. He's and I apologize, Peter, if I mispronounced your last name. Sorghul?
Yeah, you got it.
Well, thank God. It's a guessing game with me. I'm incredibly dyslexic today, so sorry about that, sir. But I was so happy when we started talking to you about having you guys join. I love your Pinot for years, and I'd love to learn more about your brand. So Pete, I'm going to highlight you, let people taste your beautiful Pinot Noir, because that's number 2, right?
Correct.
I got 1, 2, yes. and let's do it. And Pete, I'm going to highlight you and get you into your PowerPoint and just pretend like I'm paying attention for a minute while I get us on Facebook.
Okay, great. Thanks, Ian. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me here tonight. My name's Pete. I'm the winemaker at Linmar Estate. We're located in the Russian River Valley in Sonoma County. And what makes the Russian River Valley so special is its amazing ability to grow and to make great Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. And what's great about Linmar is that we have our own vineyard team and estate vineyards. And so that gives me the utmost control in the farming, basically from soil to the glass. And what allows me to kind of practice and execute these fine details in the winemaking is really starting with our own vineyard team and our estate vineyards as well. And so we have 3 estate vineyards in production currently, and a 4th one that is just been planted. And so we kind of have a nice variety within the Russian River, starting with our warmest vineyard in Forestville, and which is actually the closest in proximity to the actual Russian River. And then we kind of traverse south down through the town of Sebastopol to southern Sebastopol, where our coolest vineyard is. And so having our own farming team allows me to really be involved. I come from an agricultural background in Pennsylvania, and coming to California and getting into winemaking has really allowed me to keep continuing to practice the skills that I grew up forming. And it's great working with a vineyard manager that we have who's full-time to be able to go through and really break things up. So the home ranch is what's called Quail Hill Vineyard. That's where the winery and the tasting room is located. The owners, Lynn and Anisha Fritz, initially bought the property in 1980. And Lynn, over the course of the last 40 years, kept buying adjoining parcels to create Quail Hill Vineyard what it is today. It's currently 100 acres in total land with 44 under vine. And with that, it's about 65% Pinot Noir and 35% Chardonnay.
All right, you're doing great, man. You're doing great. And we are now live on Facebook. Thank you for that. And I have a nice little PowerPoint to get us into your pictures. And can everybody see that okay?
Yeah.
So, all right. I might have to reload it though, because it's not clicking. Has anybody noticed any problems over at Google? I think Google's having some issues. It's probably going to reload the PowerPoint here in a second. So we'll go back to your pretty face for a minute.
All right, that works. Thank you. So, you know, the wine I have tonight is the 2018 Russian River Valley Pinot Noir. And this is a blend of our 3 estate vineyards in production and a few small vineyards that we partner with in the surrounding Russian River Valley that really kind of share our same ethos to sustainability. All of our vineyards and the winery are all certified sustainable. The winery is located on the Laguna de Santa Rosa, which is actually a very significant freshwater watershed in the Russian River Valley. And so Quail Hill Vineyard, here's the map here. Quail Hill Vineyard is where the home ranch is, and right next to it is the Laguna. So with the sustainability, we're very mindful of our inputs to the land and being just really kind of hands off and as most minimal impact as we can. And so this wine, the 2018 Russian River, is a blend of the 3 vineyards plus surrounding vineyards that we share and that we partner with. And what I really like about the Russian River Valley is first the location. Being close to the coast, we get great fog influence, which allows, you know, the grapes to fully ripen during the day with great sunlight and then have a break in the evening when the fog rolls in. And having this farming team allows me to make these kind of decisions in the farming, especially, you know, how we want to do the different actions in the vineyard from shoot fitting, fruit drop, things like that, all the way up into harvest. I have a really great luxury of being able to pick the grapes and make a pick decision within 24 hours of it actually happening. And that's a great luxury, because some of the outside vineyards that I purchase, I need to kind of wait a few days before they're able to gather their team and do it. And what that allows me to do is really have the utmost control in our picking and our picking decisions. And that allows me to then pick when I feel things are at its best. And so after the vineyard team here, everything is hand harvested. It's brought into the winery where we hand sort and ferment in stainless steel. I do kind of a mix of some whole cluster, a certain percentage. I kind of find my sweet spot in between 10 to 20%, which then I will layer at the bottom of a tank and then destem on top. I do, through fermentation, do punch downs and pump overs, mainly pump overs. I like the temperature control I can get from them, as well as just kind of the mixing of the tank. I feel that it has a great extraction potential that way. Then moving on, we age all of our wines in French oak. We have a cave where we do all our barrel aging. And what I like to do is at Quail Hill and our other vineyards, we have many different clones and selections of Pinot Noir. So at Quail Hill, I have 14 different clones and selections. Each one of these is giving me a slight variation of Pinot Noir. Where, example, we have Swan clone, which gives me nice red, bright fruit character. And then we also have Calera, which is darker, a little more black, blue, basier. And so I then allocate new French oak barrels based on the clone and what that wine eventually gives me. So Swan clone, I don't use too impactful of a barrel, because I'll cover up those kind of fine nuances within that wine. I'll use more of a light toast barrel, where the Calera, being darker, I'm able to put a medium to medium plus toast barrel on that to really kind of showcase its darkness within the wine. And really what's great about Linmar is we have complete control from the vineyard all the way through the winemaking into the blending. So as I mentioned, this wine is a blend of our 3 estate vineyards plus outside vineyards. That my goal in this is to really represent the Russian River Valley. And to me, that is a wine that's really red fruit driven, approachable, good structure, and not out of balance. And that's what I want to do, is create wines that have great balance. And that allows someone to drink the wine on its own, as well as pair it with different meals. And having the Pinot allows me to pair with, salmon, to pork, to beef. And so I find it very versatile. And so I try to make a wine that can kind of play well in all these different scenarios. Mm-hmm. And for our bottling, we have a mobile unit come in, and that we actually own part of the mobile unit. So that gives me control on the dates I want to choose for bottling, as well as, really being familiar with the line and the operator, which still elevates my control in the whole process. And, from there, this wine is aged for 10 months in French oak. And right here is a photo. The last photo here is, this is Quail Hill. So the building at the bottom is our tasting room. We are looking kind of northeast. So the mountain in the background is Mount St. Helena on the northern end of Napa Valley. And so, for Linmar, the goal is to really be sustainable to the land and make great wines that really represent the terroir of where the grapes were grown.
Awesome. You've done this before.
Yeah, I've done a few of these.
That's great, man. Good job. Every time I taste your wine, it is quintessential Russian River Pinot Noir. Big, juicy, delicious fruit. You can almost feel the fleshiness of that fruit in the mouth. Great mouthfeel, concentration. It's just a super representative of the grape, and another great representative for our event. So thank you for bringing it.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Any questions for our winemaker? Any comments? Anyone want to speak to any of these guys? We welcome it. You could be shy as well. So your choice. But we got such a fun group of people that now I'm going to say hi to a few of you, because I'm all dialed in now. And Lauren's down in San Diego, Lauren Stalker.
You guys?
Hi there, buddy. We've got Lisa Test in Santa Monica. We got Julie representing the 909. Hi, guys. Good to see you both. We've got Alicia in the office, helping keep me honest on the chat. So if anybody has any questions or anything. Mary Grace out in Santa Monica. Ragnar and your wife down in the South Bay. Good to see you guys. Nice photo in the background. Is that, where is that in the background, Ragnar?
That's Palos Verdes.
Oh my gosh, I thought that was like Hawaii.
Yeah, I wish it was Hawaii.
Looking good. Cool. Michael Dillenbach, thank you for joining us. I hope you got everything okay. We get you all set up.
Yeah, we got everything fine. Thank you.
All right, excellent. What you don't know is I packed your box about 3 times, and I packed Julie's twice. So things will get a little crazy when you got a large number of people together. Ira, how are you? Everything good?
Yeah, we're fine. Thank you very much.
Glad to see you.
Good to talk to you yesterday.
Thanks for being on the Zoom. And who's joining you tonight?
Bobby, my wife, Bobby.
Hi, Bobby.
Hi.
Glad to have you both. Let's see. Let's say hi to a few more folks. The Nagys are out there. Everything work out there? Kent is joining. Kent is in Ohio, right? Kent, I'm guessing. I always have to guess.
No, Ian, we are in Sanibel Island, Florida tonight.
Ah, look at that.
So we switched it up. So we don't have your wine, but we went and bought as much as the wine we could. So we double dipped. So it's a good thing for the wineries.
The wineries like that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for all you do.
Appreciate it. Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Bramer. How are you? Good to see you both. Jim.
Oh, good.
Hey, Ian, Marcia and I have really been enjoying your series. So thanks so much for that. We appreciate it. Happy New Year to you.
You both look great.
Thank you.
Thank you. And you as well. You're aging well.
I'm trying.
Like a fine wine.
I'm good for Zoom, about up to here. That's about it.
Right.
It's kind of hell.
You're down? No way.
Doesn't matter anymore.
That's right.
Hey, Sherry, how are you? Good to see you. And I got the Sandovals, my friend Hector Sandoval, famous photographer, and his wife.
Another great lineup. Yeah.
Actually, a couple of photographers. You and Jim ought to chat someday, Hector. I will tell you the very best photos I've ever had on my website ever were the event. I remember it. This is why it was so good. It was the Beverly Hills Hotel when we did scotch and cheese. Yeah. Wow. That was such a great event. We took over a big room in the Beverly Hills Hotel and did scotch and cheese, and Jim did the photos, and they were legend. Hector is video extraordinaire.
Oh, we should hook up, Hector.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely is right. All right. Well, let's get back into some wine. We are moving into wine number 3, and we're going to Ledge up in Paso Robles. And Jason D Francesco is our founder, winemaker. He is live on the Zoom with us tonight. How are you, Jason?
I think you got that mixed up. It's
Did
Mark
I?
Adams.
We got Mark Adams.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mark Adams.
It's quite all right.
Let me look at
I'm
mine.
here.
You're being very kind. I'm sorry about that. I'm looking at the wrong screen, and it is Mark Adams he's the winemaker and owner at Ledge. Good, there we go, buddy. Sorry about that.
It's all right. You got a lot to do.
I'm controlling the vertical and the horizontal. It gets a little bit dizzying sometimes, but I enjoy it.
No problem. You can pull up the viticulture map of where we are. For those of you who are not familiar, we are almost directly between San Francisco and Los Angeles toward the coast. Where our estate is about 8 miles as the bird flies from Cayucas, the Morro Bay area. Ledge is named as such. We're on a bit of a plateau that juts out from the Santa Lucia Mountains. The wine that we're tasting tonight is the 2018 James Berry Vineyard. It's a blend of Grenache, Syrah, Roussanne, and Mourvedre. James Berry Vineyard is where I learned how to farm and make wine. The James Berry Vineyard estate winery is Saxum, and primarily a Rhone producer. And in the beginning, it was 100% Syrah was the early releases from a spot called Bone Rock, and that's the next slide that you'll see. The Bone Rock Terrace is looking south toward the ocean that way. That fog you see is an effect called the Templeton Gap, and that brings cooling airs from the ocean to the west side of Paso Robles. A great diurnal shift where we'll have hot days, sometimes up into the 110s and cooling nights into the upper 60s. It's a pretty neat thing, and the grapes, of course, love it. So that's looking toward the ocean, and the next slide you'll see is that's looking toward our ranch, and where that cursor is right there, where Ian's cursor is, that's the ledge above that, the light green. And we're a sandy soil site, as opposed to where this photo is being taken. It's heavy limestone. The Bone Rock terraces are called such because they have deposits of old whale bones in them, and really dense limestone soils. This wine is a baby, just released 2018. I would give it several years, but it's interesting to see where they're at throughout the process. From a winemaking standpoint, I'm pretty hands off. The estate is entirely own rooted from this vineyard here. That's all. I took thousands of Syrah cuttings from that vineyard and planted them own rooted into our sandy soil site. The Adams Ranch Vineyard is what's in red on the westernmost part of the Willow Creek AVA. And so originally we were own rooted. I ferment everything native, was 100% whole cluster. It couldn't be more old school. We just whole bunch fermented everything wild and in neutral oak. And as we've gone forward, the estate stuff is seeing more oak, and we're getting more extraction. But yeah, we're pretty hands off with most of our wines. This is probably about 30% whole cluster, whole clustered all of the Roussanne, and a good part of Mourvedre and Syrah. Pigeage is where you jump in the tank and you stomp it with your feet as it comes off. Is sorted two different stations, one before the destemmer and one after, and of course the whole bunch stuff we just throw directly into the fermenter and stomp on it. I like that to get a little bit of extra stem extraction, which can impart a lot of fun, unique characteristics. So this is 55% Grenache, 25% Syrah, 15 Mourvedre, and 5 Roussanne. And we find that the Roussanne brings a certain amount of elevated aromatics and just lush, not really grassy, but that sort of herbaceous situation that's fun with really extracted Rhone blends. If you want to go through the other photos there, I can give you a little bit more background. This is the original well on the property that was planted in that was put in the 70s. That's I'm clipping away at the cuttings there that were taken from the opposing vineyard. That's Paso before wine country hit. All of those hills up there are crammed with vineyards. This is right around 1975. We're still using this well today. It's only about 200 and some odd feet. We do a lot of dry farming. Irrigation is minimal, but that's sand and clay loam there, whereas the hills behind are heavy limestone. So stylistically, the estate stuff is going to vary from this James Berry vineyard, and then it's a little bit more subtle. It's got some saline, even qualities to it, as opposed to this really bright, robust red fruit. That's my wife down below with my then boss, Justin Smith, who's the winemaker at Saxum. taught me everything. I didn't go to school for this. I just learned by doing. I was his first employee at Saxum in 2004, and then planted this vineyard in 2005, which is the next slide you can see.
Before we go to that next slide, I got to ask you a question. Do you know where that picture was taken right there?
It's in Malibu.
That was the Malibu Wine Classic. That was my event.
Yeah, it's your event. It's a Wine LA event.
2004 with Michael Barber.
That was 2006, Ian.
2006. Well, we did it about 5 years in a row, and it was incredible. I saw the tent, and I'm looking at the photo, and I'm like, yeah, that was our event.
Yeah, Sierra found that photo, and she says, "Oh, we got to include this one."
That's awesome.
Yeah. So we're still there. That was about 4,000 or 5,000 cuttings. Each one of those sticks we cut down so that there were two nodes remaining. Trim the others down. Cut at the knuckle. We had a saying when we were doing this. A couple of college friends came up and helped us do this, and we had to do our ABCs. Always be clipping. Always be clipping. And then as the days wore on and everyone was getting sore, it was ABCD. Always be clipping drunk. So we did this for several days, and I surveyed the vineyard and the original grid. You can see in the next picture, the original grid didn't even have irrigation set up yet. We were fortunate enough to have a deluge on the picture on the left there. So I didn't even have water run out to this before we planted this 4-acre block. It was 8 feet by 3 feet spacing, and then the next slide over, we now have Roussan that's in that block. There I am doing the stomping. That's the original Saxum facility. We're fortunate enough to still be making wine at the Saxum facility, which is now a cave. It's bitching. And I still lend a hand during harvest, but I'm not officially there. Ledge is taking up all of my wife and my time. And the vineyard is now 15 acres, which for us, we're pretty small operation. We make 1,500 cases of wine or so a year. Yeah, and that's it. We're pretty. That's the ledge looking north. That's head trained Grenache in the front. And then beyond that are blocks of Syrah, Cinsault, Roussan, Dunoise, and Mourvedre. So we're sticking to not only the Rhones, but Chateauneuf-du-Pape specific. Those 13 varietals are what we're dealing with.
Awesome. Fantastic. And where do you guys pour your wine up in Paso? Do you guys have a tasting room?
We're by appointment. You can come up to the ranch and see us here at the house. We don't have a tasting room. But we're available to do tastings when we get through this madness. You can pick up. It's just we're easy. My cell number's on the bottle. There's my cell is. Right
That's
there.
your cell right there. All right. Well, very good, very good. And I'll make sure in the brochure we have all your contact information too.
Cool.
But I really appreciate you making time and being on the Zoom.
Thank you.
It is a brand new 2018. You don't talk scores at all, but you always get great scores. And this wine is going to be gorgeous. It already has, wonderful fruit concentration, color, richness, fleshiness. What's going to be next for this wine, and when will it get there?
Well, it's just going to soften up. It'll really start to shine, I think, in a couple of years. You'll just get more of that gorgeous, sweet Grenache will start to flesh out. It'll just gain sweetness with age, and it's dry as a bone. We're lucky in that we make really small quantities of these wines. This is a 70, 80 case lot most years. In the estate, we put out three or 400 cases from there. The 3 estates we're working from are our ranch, James Berry Vineyard, and Bialy, which is Santa Barbara County, San Maria. And the cool thing about that story is that the original Estrella clone Syrah that was planted at James Berry Vineyard is the same. It's the same clone. It was Bialy to James Berry at Adams Ranch. And so we've sort of gone full circle. My wife's from Santa Barbara, so we wanted to have something from Santa Barbara County in the lineup, and being that the parentage of those vines are interconnected. It's a neat story. And the wines are all markedly different. The James Berry is totally different from the Adams Ranch, and they're all different from the Bialy too. Definitely get a cool coastal. You can tell that there's orange blossoms and avocado groves in the vicinity of the Bialy. You can almost taste the limestone in the James Berry, and you can almost taste the sandstone, ocean. You know, we've got shells in our soil where there are bones in the others, and you can taste the difference in the wines. So we've sort of settled at those 3 wines, and then we have a blend of those 3 vineyards. But we keep it pretty simple. We're Rhone varietals and 3 estates and 1 blend.
One question came in from Terrence. Are you guys make 100% Syrah as well, or pure?
We have.
Yeah.
We have in the past. The Adams Ranch is Syrah based, followed by Grenache. James Berry is usually Grenache based, followed by Syrah and Mourvedre and Roussanne. Bialy is 100% a straight clone Syrah.
Yeah, and that was
that's
a really
awesome. So stoked to get that fruit.
That's great. Well, congratulations on your continued success, my friend, and thank you for coming back and visiting us all these years later. And really, really proud to see what you're doing.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Well, we are off and running. That was wine number 3, and we've got 7 awesome wines tonight, and really fantastic group of people on the Zoom. So just wanted to see if anyone's got anything interesting they want to talk about, questions you want to ask. Julie, how you feeling on wine 3? You good? You got your yoga pose going on? I like it. Jen and Josh, you seem to like that was kind of like your speed right there, right?
Really good.
Yeah, lovely wine. I like that you're focusing in on stuff, and we're definitely going to explore more.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
It's such a great mouthfeel. It's really good.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, let's go hang
Really
out.
great, Mark.
My friend. Oh, I agree. Trace is on the Zoom, and he is a winemaker for Robert Bialy. And as a Zinfandel producer myself, I am very fortunate to have a great relationship with these guys. I love and respect these guys. They do so much for the industry, and Trace has been amazing, and I'm excited to have Trace talk about the next wine. So welcome, Trace. How are you?
Good, Ian. Thanks for having me. Thanks for hosting, and thanks everybody. I feel lucky to be a part of this amazing group of vintners. Killer wines, boys, so far. Wow. Good job. So we're going to go into some Robert Bialy Zinfandel here, and just a quick little background on Bialy. Robert Bialy started farming here in Napa Valley in 1937. Bob Bialy's grandfather bought a parcel of land about a mile away from our winery site, which is in the Oak Knoll district of Napa Valley, which is in the southern part of Napa Valley. And it's just a stone's throw away. 1937, shortly after Prohibition, we're trying to sell Zinfandel under the table as they were Italian immigrants. We became legitimate in 1991. They did it for that long, selling our black chicken wine as a code word wine when you ordered your vegetables and your produce from the family farm. They would sneak a jug of wine in your basket if you asked for a black chicken back in the old days with the party line. So pretty cool story, pretty awesome family. I'm stoked to be part of this family and this heritage. And Robert Bialy is all about heritage. And Ian, you know, that's what we're all about. We're trying to save these old vineyards. I work specifically with heritage vineyards all throughout Napa County and Sonoma County. We make 15 different vineyard designate Zinfandels, all from heritage sites. Some as old as 135 years old, planted in the late 1800s. So I consider myself pretty lucky to be able to play with some of these vineyards. And this RW Moore that we're going to try tonight is a great example of that. This RW Moore was planted in 1905, and it sits in the Coombsville appellation in Napa Valley, which is it's in the southeast corner of Napa. So, you know, kind of a cooler area, and one of the coolest sites in Napa Valley besides Carneros, because it has that marine influence from San Pablo Bay. And
This tasting's so amazing, man. I apologize for interrupting you, but if you snuck this glass of wine up to me, and made me guess which grape variety it is, I would hopefully get to Napa, but I might think it's like a cab blend or something. It's very claret-like.
Yeah, I'm glad you noticed that, Ian, because I mean, this wine with 15 different vineyard designate Zins all over the place, this one really stands out, and it really is one of my favorite because it's so dense and rich, and there's so many layers. It's just fat. It's a high pH wine, right? So it's got that viscosity. It sticks to the edge of the glass, and it hits your palate, and it's just weight, right? And a lot of our Zins are bright and fresh and elegant, and they're, you know, that's our house style, and they're bright with natural acidity and all this. But this one with its big fat weight and its richness, I just love it. Yeah, you could sneak it into some claret tastings and no one would ever know.
Mm-hmm.
That's true, and it's fun to have one like this in the lineup. I love it, and of course all of that comes from the vineyard, you know, just like all of our wines. It's location, and but there's something very cool about Coombsville that gives us that high pH and that viscosity and that richness, and that when I walk this vineyard, it's like it's like a moonscape. It's like walking what I would think would be walking on the moon. It's just like this crunch, poof, you know, there's this hard and thin layer of soil, and underneath it is just ash. Because you know, you think of Coombsville is a caldera, right? It's like it was a volcanic activity that created this ridge that filled in with its own ash, and the way that caldera faces to the southwest, it captures the fog that comes in from the San Pablo Bay, and that's what gives it this cool climate where you can grow Pinot Noir and Chardonnays and white Rhones even, and even Cabernets, all kinds of Syrah, all kinds of varietals. But it's really a unique AVA in Napa Valley because of that capturing of that cool air and that soil. I mean, it's pure volcanic ash. I call it cake batter soil. It's just really an amazing thing to walk through this vineyard. And that's what gives you these kind of characters of this, like this big, dense, rich boldness. So I guess, you know, my philosophy is just kind of hands off, you know, like Pete. It's like, you know, just, you know, get out of the way and let the vineyard speak, and you get the work done in the vineyard, and then know when to speak and know when to be quiet and get out of the way. And this is what you get. And the 18 vintage that we're tasting tonight is a great example. It was a great vintage here. Not a lot of drama with the weather. A great vintage. There it is. Yep, there's our bottle. And it's just a fun wine. So winemaking, you know, vinification wise, I try to treat this like a Burgundy, like a Pinot Noir. Very gentle handling, very minimalistic vinification, no pumps, it's all gravity. I do open top ferments on this wine. In fact, on all of our Zinfandels, I treat them kind of like Pinots. So open top, punch downs, cooler ferments, native yeasts. and just real gentle kid glove handling, low oxygen impact, leaving them on original leaves until they tell you they're ready to be racked. And 100% malolactic in the barrel, 100% French Burgundian oak, about 25% new on the zins. Yeah, light pressings. I mean, that's the gist. Hopefully the vineyard speaks. So 1905, this vineyard was planted by Pleasant Ashley Stevens, who was a seafarer from San Francisco, who came in the late 1800s and found this parcel, planted it to Old Vine, well, to Zinfandel, and it's a field blend, just like most Old Vine Zin plantings are. There's some spatterings of Petite Syrah and Carignan in here, and you get that with the wine. You can kind of feel those layers going on. It's true to the site, it's true to the soil. But one really cool thing about the R.W. Moore vineyard that's worth mentioning real quick is that this vineyard was part of a project that was funded and kind of oversighted by UC Davis and ZAP. It was called the UC Davis Heritage Vineyard Project. And what UC Davis and ZAP did was take clonal DNA from I think it was over 100 vineyards over almost every county within California. And we did a planting in Rutherford at the Experimental Vineyard in Rutherford here in Napa Valley. And we grew all of these different clones of Zinfandel. And over the years, they hosted tastings and narrowed down the best of the best to the top 17 and then to the top 4. Well, long story short, this R.W. Moore clone made it into the top 4 selections of that many clones and is now available through nurseries to be planted in the future, which is really, really cool. So there it is. That's the R.W. Moore Vineyard, the old red barn. You can see that these vines are trained pretty low. They're kind of about hip height. You know, they're not these big monstrous old vine. This is dry farm, head trained, 8x8 spacing, classic Old Vine Zin spot with those soils that I mentioned. And but it's interesting that they're so low. It's hard to tell from that picture, but when you walk through this, there's no hiding in the vineyard. Believe me, I've tried. I've seen Bill Moore out there. But and there's a couple of theories on that, and I think it was because you know, back in the 1900s, early 1900s, we actually still had very, very cool weather in this part of Napa Valley. And I think what they were trying to do is mimic something that they would do in Bordeaux or Burgundy, where they're trying to capture the heat from the soil and keep the fruit low to the ground. You can see there. And you see that soil I'm talking about. It's like this really cake batter, like puffy soil. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's just a beautiful vineyard. It really is a pleasure to work with. Bill Moore bought this property in the 1980s, and he put some TLC into it, which it needed. He replanted misses, and he put drainage in there, and he really dialed in the farming on this. And Mike Hendry, his relative, is who also makes wine from this vineyard. If you don't know those, you should check them out. The Hendry wines, they're killer. Mm-hmm. But he does a great job farming for us. And there you go. I hope that makes sense. You get these, so the R.W. Moore clone, which I was talking about, gives you those long, you see that first cluster, it's this long elongated cluster, and they get massive. They're like football sized clusters on a good year. And they're so distinctive. They do very well with mildew and rot, even though they're very tight. It's a great clone for planting in multiple types of locations in soils. In fact, we've been using it. Bialy's been using it for plantings, new plantings that we've been putting in. A new one in Carneros, another one in southeast Napa. So we're spreading this clone around, and we think it's worthy. It just tastes so nice.
Great. How's your bass playing going?
Well, not a lot of gigs these days, I'll tell you that. But I've been in the woodshed a lot, so yeah, I'm getting ready for whenever we open up.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, great to see you. Great to have you on the Zoom, and thank you for being Zinfandel's ambassador. It's just a great pleasure to work with you guys. You're so good at what you do, and that wine is gorgeous. And I really think you capture the essence of that place, which is what it's all about, right?
Absolutely. Cheers, Ian.
Thank you, bro. Well, feeling better already. 4 wines in and getting ready for a pretty dynamic Cabernet flight. We're going to go out to Alexander Valley now, to Medlock Ames, and I'm pretty excited about this this next visit that we're going to have. Ames Morrison is the winemaker, and Ames, are you there? There you are, buddy.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, let's listen to that accent. How you doing?
I'm great.
Cool. I'm going to spotlight you. Take it away, buddy. Tell us the story, because you're working with a friend of mine, Kim. Kim is up there working with you now, huh?
Oh yeah, she's wonderful.
Great. We had the good fortune of having her work with us many years before she went to Sonoma State and got her master's degree and became a fancy wine professional. She started right here.
Cool.
Yeah.
So it's just such an honor to get to taste wine and share my wine with all of you, and hear about the stories and the winemaking philosophies of this great collection of talented winemakers. So I'm really glad to be here. Medlock Ames is an organic vineyard and winery. We are located in the southernmost tip of the Alexander Valley. In fact, the dividing line between the Russian River Valley and the Alexander Valley runs right through our ranch. So we have in the southern part of our ranch, we grow some Chardonnay and a little bit of Pinot Noir that's Russian River, and all the Cab and Bordeaux varieties are all in the Alexander Valley, but it's one of the coolest parts of the Alexander Valley. And we have about, the whole ranch is about 340 acres, 55 acres are planted in grapevine. It's all organic. And the company came about, this is my 24th harvest, the 24th year that I've been farming this vineyard. And my best friend and I were living in New York City back in the mid 90s. And we just started drinking wine. We didn't know very much about it. And we just sort of had this epiphany that we had to quit our jobs, move to California and make wine. And we didn't know very much about it. So I had to go back to school to study. But I grew up on a farm. And for me, my passion is being able to influence the way the wine tastes in the glass by how we farm the vineyard. And to me, that's just sort of what makes me excited to get out of bed every morning, is just imagining that connection between the land and the flavor and the glass. So
I'll bring up your PowerPoint right now, buddy. I'm sorry it's taken me a minute to get it up. Things are moving pretty slow over
no problem.
Google tonight. So
the wine that we're gonna pour right now is our 2017 Kates and Bees, which is it's a Cabernet. It's a blend of about 83% Cab, 12% Malbec, and 5% Merlot. And at our elevation, which is sort of in the foothills off of the valley floor, the biggest challenge we have with growing Cabernet, and over half of our vineyard is Cabernet, is managing the tannins. The tannins are very, very easily extracted, and that can be a good thing. We want tannin in our wine, but it has to be tamed in a certain way. And so we have a particular protocol on how we manage the maceration in the tank and the fermentation, but we also manage that with blending. And so we have we add about 12% Malbec, and Malbec is what I call my secret ingredient. Back in 2010 and 2011, it was one of the coldest vintages we've ever had in California, and it was hard to get anything ripe that year. But we had a new planting of Malbec that came online that year, and because it was so lightly cropped as a young vine, it was really the only thing that got properly ripe that year. So we just put a little bit of Malbec in all of our red blends, maybe 1 or 2%, and it just made everything come alive. And so over the years, we've kind of played around with it, and we found that Malbec works really well with this blend. Because we're in the southern part of the Alexander Valley, it's one of the coolest parts of the valley. We often probably one of the latest. We're always one of the last vineyards to harvest because it's cooler. And Cabernet takes a fair amount of heat to get ripe, and so typically our Cabernets are more elegant, they're more subtle. But 2017 was a very, very warm year. We had, I think, over 10 days that were above 100 degrees. We had a couple of days that are 110. And on paper, I would think that would not be a great vintage, but those hotter years like 2017, 2014 end up being the very best years for us. And so that we still have that subtle, some of those subtle aromas, but there's just a little bit more fruit forward character we get in those really warm years.
Ames, can I ask you, every time I drive by your tasting room, I always thought you guys did such a great job on the tasting room, the location. It's such a great advertisement for your brand. I've been driving by it for 25 years, I guess. How long has it been there? How long has it been there?
The tasting room, we kind of remodeled an old bar that had been in the center of the Alexander Valley in 2010. So it's
okay.
That's how long that tasting room's been there.
I started making wine in 2009 out in Dry Creek, and every time I come in, I'm probably buzzing by your place, and I always just really thought your look, your feel was always so good. And I had a question about the label. Tell me what is that like a glass of wine spinning around? Is that what that is? That evokes in the middle? Is that? And
yes, but very few people get that. So people guess all kinds of strange things. But it's two things. It's the wine swirling around in the glass. You get that kind of feeling of motion, and it's anticipating that moment right before you take your first sip. But it's also it also represents our landscape. So you've got the sloping terrain, one of our ponds, and the sun up in the sky.
That's cool. That's cool. I always really admired it. I love a kind of a cool label story, and you guys have always had that. And I know it's changed a little bit here. This is like a 2021 rendition, but you've always had that, and it's really been nice to see the progression of the brand.
Thank you. I just saw a comment pop up. Someone asked about our 50 tons, which is the other. So we have kind of two side-by-side flagship wines. This is the Kates and Bees. The Kates and Bees is named after our wives. And so it's sort of meant to be a tribute to them. And it's tends to be softer, rounder. It has a more feminine feel to it. Then we have another wine that we call 50 Tons. And the very first year we found the vineyard, 1997, it was an El Nino winter, really high rainfall. And there are a lot of really steep slopes, a lot of terraces that were in danger of blowing out. So we had to rebuild all these terraces by hand. And we hand placed 50 tons of rock. So it's sort of a testament to that hard work and to kind of make the wine match that name. We select some of our vineyard blocks that are sort of have Cabernet that's a little bigger, more powerful. It tends to be 100% Cabernet or maybe 1 or 2% Petit Verdot, whereas the Kates and Bees has a higher percentage of softer blenders like Malbec and Merlot.
The secret ingredient, is that the Malbec?
Yeah, that's our Malbec. So it was such an important wine for our blending, so we started grafting over more acreage to it, and then we decided to make a bottling that was Malbec. And I think Malbec is going to be, over the next 20 or 30 years, I think it's going to become more and more the wine that the Alexander Valley is known for. It just does really well in our site.
I'm kind of messed up your order of your presentation, so I'll click through from the beginning, if you don't mind, and just give you a chance if there's anything else you wanted to say. But obviously your formidable shot, and then Bell Mountain Ranch is the name of your property.
Yeah, so I don't know if we have a view of Bell Mountain, but the kind of the backdrop to our to the east of our vines, and it's sort of the highest point is a geographical feature called Bell Mountain. It's shaped like a bell, and that that has been the name of this ranch, long before there were grapevines planted there. And it sort of kind of casts its shadow. It kind of blocks some of the morning sun, and also kind of provides a little bit of a backstop for the cool air to kind of keep some of that cool air later in the day. But one other thing I wanted to mention is that our vineyard is 100% organic. And when I first started farming, my idea was I just didn't want to make the land when I am done farming it, some decades from now, I don't want it to be worse than when I found it. And it was really like an idea of just do no harm. And so, I don't want to pollute our customers or people that help me work in the vineyard. But just over the past couple of years, I've really changed my thinking on that. And rather than being just doing no harm, I'm kind of awakening to this concept that land has this tremendous potential to store massive amounts of carbon, and it can pull carbon dioxide out of the ground. And farmers have this opportunity, and we as grape growers, I think, have this opportunity, but almost a responsibility to help reverse climate change by farming in a way that can do that. And then also we can talk about wine in connection with the land, and that's something that most other agricultural products can't really do as seamlessly and beautifully as wine can. So it's sort of that's my my driving force over the next over the rest of my career.
Cool.
To spread that gospel.
Nice. And do you guys are obviously at times like this, it's by appointment, or even not able to taste it all right now, but when normal times return soon, you guys are open, just pull right up and go into the taste room, or is it appointment only?
Yeah, right now we're closed, but when the pandemic's over, it'll be you don't need to make an appointment, but it's recommended.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, it was a pleasure to meet you tonight, and thank you for sharing your story with us. The wine's drinking great.
Thank you.
What is the retail price point of the wine that we're tasting tonight?
$100.
Very good. And it's got this beautiful nose. It really kind of separates itself from other Cabernets, and really is a very directed towards the place of Alexander Valley. I think it's very true to that typical characteristic of the Alexander Valley.
Yep. One thing that's, whether it's a warmer or cooler vintage, one thing that's sort of this constant with this wine is there's sort of a violet and rose kind of floral background. It's just sort of there, and it's sort of the through line through every vintage.
Well, delicious and gorgeous. And how did your How I wanted to ask all the producers tonight, but we sent all the wineries their little jars, and everyone's tasting everyone else's wines. Did you get your wines okay? Did they arrive all right? And are they showing the way you like them?
Yeah. I was surprised because we're kind of off the beaten path, and it seems to take, the overnight delivery seems to always take them a little bit longer to get to us, but it arrived on time, so I was excited about that.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you. And no shortage of miracles keeps us going. So thank you very much, Ames. Wonderful to meet you, sir. And I'll again open up the screen to anyone that has any questions for any of our winemakers tonight. Don't be shy. Hector, you're good for a couple comments. Come on in and tell us what's going on in your mind. I can't hear you, buddy.
All of these are amazing wines, and it's all about expression on specific areas of the taste. And when I photograph people, especially I don't know if it's 30 or 40 events of yours already, there's always an expression of people tasting the wines, whether it's the flaring of the nose or the eyes twittering a little bit or the sparkle. And all of these very specific wines, I feel are distinct, and they're all almost have a personality of themselves, and people creates this little thunder in their veins, I want to call it, where there's a reaction of the Noir. And this last one was amazing.
Awesome.
And thank you so much for sharing all these amazing wines. It's always a privilege, because I know whether it's 10 years or 20 years, if you've been cultivating this soil, now you're letting us taste and reap the beauty of it. I just want to thank all the winemakers here tonight for allowing us to fulfill what they want to do for us. And I thank you.
Yeah.
Hey all, this is Ragnar. I had a question for the winemakers. How long would you let store your wine to get the optimal taste of the wine you're trying to express? Thank you.
Ames, you want to go for that one?
Yeah. So I don't know. We just did a vertical of all of our wines going back to 2001, and the 01s are kind of they're over the hill, but the 03s are still tasting fresh and exciting. So because of the amount of acid and tannin we have, I think our wines can age 15 years or so.
Great. Cool. Any other questions?
I'd like to just ask about the cooperage. What you do with that?
So for our Cates and Bees Cabernet, we age it in 75% new oak. It's all French oak. And over the years, we've sort of tweaked our barrel program to find the coopers that best match our wine. And sort of the three that I really like are Francois Frere, which is typically a Burgundy barrel. I really like it for our Cabernet. They make a 225 liter barrel that works really beautifully with our cab. Hermitage is another barrel that I really like for our program, and another one called Boot. So there are certain other barrels that tend to accentuate tannin, and we're trying to round out our wine. So we try to find wine barrels that help soften the wine rather than make it more angular.
James Garbell, how are you tonight? Oh, I'm going to unmute you. Are you enjoying the wines? Still can't hear you, buddy.
There's Rita sitting next to me, my wife.
Hi, Rita.
Hi, Marcia and Jim invited us, and we're delighted.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes.
In fact, we were drinking this last cab, and it was absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Loved it.
Cool.
And
the Berliners, right?
Pardon me?
The Berliners, is that who's we're talking about?
Yeah.
No, the
No,
Brammers.
Oh,
The
Brammers.
Brammers.
Ah, Brammers.
What?
Okay. Another Marcia and Jim Berliner, but I didn't see him on the Zoom, so I'm like, well, look at that. So,
The Brammers are the best.
Yeah.
all right, all right.
They got us into this wine tasting, and it's been a treat, no less. And this cab was absolutely, it's a young cab, but it's drinkable right now.
Yeah, it's got great access and really good fruit and wonderful balance and really neat story. I like the way it's telling its story right now. And we're going to move into another great cab now with Anthony Peerless, who I got to meet. Gosh, Anthony, was it almost 2 years ago now, or a year and a half ago, at the Peninsula?
That's right. Yeah, back in those days when we could circulate and be in contact.
Amazing how it seems like time kind of stopped, but fast forwarded at the same time. It's kind of a weird.
It's true.
Feeling. But I'm real excited to have you on the Zoom tonight. I loved your wine from the first time I tried it. I love the story, and I can't wait for people to. I think a lot of people, and I just want to ask right now, how many of you have ever tried the Peerless Cabernet? See, this is going to be great. All right, Anthony, take it away, buddy.
All right. Well, thank you, Ian. Thank you for putting this together, and thanks everyone for tuning in. And yeah, again, really nice to be pouring these other exciting wines in the lineup. This is a small, very, very small family project that we started just about a dozen years ago. It's a property we've had in far upper Napa, so very other extreme from Bialy, where Calistoga is kind of getting near the Sonoma border. So it's where the two mountain ranges are converging and Napa is kind of closing out. And so it's a bit of a little microclimate up there. So whereas down in Coombsville, they're getting some sea breezes from the south, we're getting them from the Sonoma coast, so which is about 30 miles off. And so our wines always have a nice brightness to them and freshness, despite the heat that you get in Calistoga. So this first shot is a shot of our tiny 2.6 acre vineyard that's surrounded by forest. Like Ames, we're farming organically. It's a family property. You can see that little house at the peak there. And our well is in the middle of that vineyard, as it's been for, since we got the place. So there was never a question of not farming organically. Monsanto tells us we can drink some Roundup, but we decided not to take their word on that.
Good idea.
First and foremost, we have a real deep love of this landscape. For 20 years, we owned it, and the blocks, these two blocks where you see the vineyard, when we got the property, had been cleared out, and it was just this golden field, not doing much of anything, just looking pretty. And it was only in 2008 that we decided to see what kind of potential it might have as far as wine production. And so at that time, my father started talking around the valley to different winemakers, and he had the fortune of meeting Mr. Aaron Pott, who's a brilliant winemaker, hilarious person, and has a huge heart. And he came out and saw this little sloping volcanic rock pile and said, this is meant to be a vineyard. And so he planted it totally to his specs, and it's 100% cab, all one clone actually, the C clone. And we've just loved how, grapes have this amazing capacity to capture the spirit of a landscape. And, we love this landscape for such a long time in a personal way. And then to see it really being expressed through the wines has been a thrill, very exciting. And it's what we have now is we're trying the 2018 vintage, which here's the bottle. We're just going to release it next month. These two characters on the screen are the gentleman that really made this project happen. It's my father on the left, and then that's Aaron on the right. They're having a little stare down that looks, more fierce than it was. They were actually, really connected on a personal level, and that's what really got this project started. Is my dad didn't quite even know how talented Aaron was or how great this vineyard was going to end up being, but they just really again connected on a personal level and took it from there. So that's looking up the hill, and it looks like it was a few years ago, but right after we had doing our cane pruning.
Mm-hmm.
And that's looking down the hill. So here we have, a sense of how cool a vineyard this actually is. This is the last vineyard that Aaron tends to harvest out of his multiple projects. It gets this great morning fog, great diurnal shifts. And so despite getting those warm, dry Calistoga days where we can be in the triple digits and, over 110, we get these, the vines get great chances to cool out and reset themselves over the evening, where it can drop 40 degrees or so. And we used, in another way of kind of speaking about the letting this landscape speak, we also do native yeast fermentations. We don't add any packaged yeast. So we're really just trying to let the landscape speak as purely as it can. One thing we've started doing in the goal of that is to work with Cotta. So that's what you're looking at here in this slide is an amphora that's made by Manetti Guzmano in Tuscany. These are handmade in Chianti, and they're really amazing vessels that in a way are just getting kind of rediscovered in Napa and in other winemaking regions, but in fact it's an ancient technology. This is what the Greeks, Romans, Egyptians were using, but it's become a bit of a cutting edge technology. So we had the opportunity to start working with them. I pitched it to Aaron, who had never learned about this at Davis or during his experience in Bordeaux. But Aaron's a very open-minded individual and loves the challenge. And he said, yeah, if you're willing to be the guinea pig, let's see what they have to say. So we kind of test piloted these. We were the first in Napa to work with this old Italian family who's been working with terracotta for 8 generations. And this clay is sourced from a quarry that's been used since Etruscan times. And it's, kind of the most valued thing about this vessel is kind of what it's not doing to the wine in a way, where it's not giving, oak's a beautiful thing, but it is kind of shading the wine to a certain degree and giving it, a certain character that can pair well with the cab, but also mask it to a certain degree. And we want to see what the fruit would say without any of that, in a kind of unadulterated way. And so we, back in 2014, started experimenting and blending it in with oaked cab. And what we loved was the terracotta brought this kind of vibrancy to the wine, this nice vivid quality. And so the wine we're having now, about 20% of it was made in terracotta, the rest is French oak. We also do an offering of this wine, which is an even smaller production, which is the inverse of this, which is 80% terracotta, 20% French oak. And that, since it's kind of all about purity and the Cabernet expressing itself, is about, we call that the pearl of the ravens. And this one we're having right now is just the ravens.
That's awesome. And is that your wine aging facility behind the barrel?
No, that's actually a picture that was taken in Tuscany.
So I was going to say, you're going to have some explaining to do because there's a lot of wine back there.
No, we don't get close to that at all. Yeah, we're the wine you're tasting tonight was our biggest production ever, and that was about 350 cases. So we're really a micro.
I did some math, and that's the number I came up with when I heard your size of your property.
Spot on there, Ian. Yeah, so this is our biggest year. We actually made of that Pearl of the Ravens, the amphora forward one, we made about 70 cases. And this one that we're trying tonight, we made just about 346 cases. So tiny productions. This is a shot from the fornace, they call it, like the place where they fire all the clay and make it by hand, and it's a really artisanal production. Again, just each one takes months to make, and
we get Hector there to make some videos. Hector, can't you? This would look so amazing.
Yeah, I mean the site was just what you would hope it would be. It was like these vaulted ceilings, opera music in the background. His gentleman on the left there is the guy who makes these by hand, and he lives upstairs, and he's just like obsessed with making the perfect amphora. So it was a pretty dreamy experience, I must say. And that's a shot of our Pearl of the Ravens, which is the amphora forward one that we make. We also make a white wine, which is a Semillon, which is, we're sourcing that fruit from just over the border from us, crossing into Sonoma into Knights Valley. And this one is a wine that we make about half in neutral French oak, half in Tuscan terracotta. And so again, that lets us really let the qualities of that varietal come through, its richness, its texture, its opulence, but also with a nice vibrance and vividness that really, the terracotta really lets be in the forefront. And that's been a fun grape to work with. Sadly, it's I feel kind of an unsung varietal that I really want to work with. I looked all around Napa and couldn't really source any. And thankfully, I found a vineyard which, although it's in Sonoma, really is kind of just up the road from us and has a nice consistency with our story. It really feels like it's kind of our backyard up there. So that's another nice one. And then if any of you are up in that area, we have a little, not a tasting room, but what I call a tasting garden. So it's overlooking the vineyard, set in the woods. We've tried to leave the landscape up there as wild as possible. We were impacted quite severely by the fires in 2017. So it's changed a bit since then. Mother Nature gives and takes away and transforms, but this place survived pretty well, so it's pretty much looking like that, if you want to come up and visit.
Well, spectacular, as I knew it would be. Super happy to have everybody trying your wine and be able to talk about it. And also, Aaron's style. Aaron made Bordeaux for a long time, and I treasure my tastings with Aaron when I go up there. And when he told me about you guys, I was super excited about it, and it's never disappointed. Love it. What is the price point of the wine that we're trying tonight?
So tonight, that's we released that at 160.
160. Beautiful. And how about the Pearl?
The Pearl, being smaller production, that one we have at 215, and then the Semillon is at 48.
Great, wonderful, and great packaging too. Also,
thank you. Yeah, that's a lot of the fun for me. Is that's kind of like what my background was. So this label now, it was a kind of a collaboration where I have Aaron art direct what each vintage is about. It changes every vintage, and I do the painting. So it's anyway, fun little thing to get interesting.
Cool, love it. Well, it's all tying in beautifully, and please send our best to Aaron when you see him next.
I certainly will. Thank you, Ian.
My pleasure. Outstanding. Feeling pretty good at this point, but Sean, trust me, we're in great shape for you, buddy. I am super honored to introduce you to Sean Capio, and he is winemaker for O'Shaughnessy, and he's up on the top of Howe Mountain. And Sean, take it away. It does look like your phone's about to die, though.
Does it show the battery's almost dead or what?
Yeah, it's beeping.
Do I have something beeping?
It looks like it's saying your
You will implode in about 10 seconds.
Well, you know,
It's flashing.
I mean, after being on this call for an hour and a half, you know, it's fantastic listening to everybody and drinking all these wines. But you sent me all these bottles. I've drank them all, and now I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do anything. which one is it? They're all so confusing, but hey, this is great. It's been great to, you know, hopefully last but not least, but it's been really awesome to be involved in this tasting and try all these great wines. You know, the Bernardus Chardonnay was awesome to start. It has such great minerality and such great texture. That Lindmar, I think what you said earlier, you know, just really quintessential Pinot Noir. You know, you've just picked a bunch of really great wines. These ledge wines, you know, Mark, unfortunately, I hadn't heard about your wines before, but I was so impressed with them. While I was actually on the tasting, I went on your site and bought 3 bottles of wine. So there you go. Awesome. First Trace, I know him from Ladera up on Howell Mountain, and the Bialy wines are fantastic. I had to get more glasses out of my kitchen so that I could, you know, I wasn't going to throw these wines away. So, you know, I just keep going. And Medlock Ames, it's great that you're working with all these mixed blacks. You know, one of the things that we have going on Howell Mountain is all these different mixed black varietals, and they add so much. And Malbec to us as well is such a great character of the wine. And you know, I'm always messing with Aaron Pott about his about the Semillon that you make in the Terra Cotta. I'm really anxious to try to get my hands on a bottle of that, Anthony. So I'll have to order up a bottle of your
there
it is. So really fun tasting all these wines. So. But for me, you know, an O'Shaughnessy, I think one of these glasses is O'Shaughnessy. You know, I've been up there on Howell Mountain for 20 years now with the property, and it's you know, it's owned by Betty O'Shaughnessy and her husband Paul Wools, and they're great owners. They've, you know, been working with Betty for all these years, and they own almost 500 acres in Napa and land, and we have about 140 under vine, and we have 4 different vineyard sites and two different wineries, and they're all estate vineyards. So that's also one of the great things, which I think a lot of us here on this show have in common, is that control and that degree of commitment to owning and operating your own stuff is really fantastic. So I don't know if you have a slideshow in the show. I know.
Here it is, buddy. Here it is, coming right now.
So we're trying the 2017 Howell Mountain Cab. So we make 3. Our main products are 3 Napa Valley Cabernets from our estates, of course. So the main one is our Howell Mountain Cab. Then we also do a Mount Veeder Cab, and we do now a Napa Valley Cab, which is a blend of our 3 unique appellations that we are represented in. So that's one. You're looking at our Oakville estate, so right there in the middle of the valley. So the Napa Valley Cab, which we're not tasting tonight, is a blend of our Oakville, Howell Mountain, and our Mount Veeder. So this is a picture of our Howell Mountain estate. So right there you see the winery. We have 120 acres up there, and 40 are planted. And what I was saying about the mixed black varietals is we do grow all 8 of the historic Bordeaux varietals.
Mm-hmm.
Flashing in red. So we grow, you know, Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, Merlot, Malbec, Petit Verdot, and then we grow the 3 other varietals. One is still permissible in Bordeaux. It's Carmenere, and then we grow 2 very oddball varietals. One is Gros Verdot, and the other one is Saint Macaire. And that's a really unique, odd varietal, a little town outside of Bordeaux along the Entre-deux-Mers called Saint Macaire, where that varietal originated from. So this blend tonight that we're trying doesn't have all 8. I think it has 7. We're generally about 80 to 85% Cabernet. So it is always a varietal Cabernet wine, and it is dominated by Cabernet. Usually Merlot is next, and then Malbec, and then all the other ones are in little smaller percentages. So here's another shot of our Howell Mountain property, our estate. We have 3 unique sections to our estate. One is called Del Oso, the other one is Amphitheater, and the other is the Osprey. So right here, you're looking at our our amphitheater section. So the bottom flat portion is the Cabernet Franc, and along the terraces there is our Cabernet Sauvignon. That forms the little amphitheater, hence the name.
So cool.
This is our Mount Veeder property. So we're across the valley. We have 2 properties on Mount Veeder. This is our higher property. We're about 1,300 feet, whereas our Howe Mountain property is around 1,800 feet elevation. This is also a very heavily terraced vineyard, very steep, sort of hard to see, but it's very contoured all over. About 50 acres there and about 17 acres planted. And that vineyard is all 100% Cabernet. So if you have our Mount Veeder wine, that wine is 100% varietal Cabernet, whereas our Howe Mountain wine is more of this Meritage blend that's Cabernet dominated.
It's like a great golf course, Sean. It's like what is growing right down here though? This steep side here.
Oh yeah, so we're trying to squeak every inch of vineyard in land, and that's basically our turkey block, because it gets so steep down there that the turkeys jump over the fence and eat away at the grapes there. But it's all Cabernet.
That's so cool.
Yeah, if you play golf up there, you're gonna lose pretty much most of your balls unless you're a proficient player.
I would do that on a bad golf course. So
this is our Wolves Ranch property. This is our other Mount Veeder property. Really great property, about 900 feet elevation. It's right. If you were to look one different way, you'd see Hess or the monastery over there. And this is mostly Cabernet. We do have some Rhone varietals planted up here too, but this is also where our second winery is. That we finished completion of that winery in 2016. And so now we bring all of our Mount Veeder grapes from just up the road to this property. This vineyard is a source for our Napa Valley Cabernet, so they're all produced there. And then we also have another brand, which we call Progeny, and there's a little winery on the top of the back of the vineyard there, where we have a little hospitality center to have guests for. Yeah, very good. For our guests there, but over on our Howe Mountain property is where the O'Shaughnessy tasting room is.
Great. And is that about having a winery attached to the vineyard, or is that just about license and size of production? Or
yeah, it will for us. It was we had a certain permit size for our Howe Mountain winery. And then when Betty and Paul were acquiring more vineyards and looking at making more wines, starting another brand, the necessity to create a second winery was there. And the second winery is sort of hidden off to the right of the hospitality. It's in the trees there. Exactly right in the trees there. It's a great modern, very sort of a duplicate of our O'Shaughnessy facility. And it's really nice because we're able to, have the grapes travel basically right from the block to the winery. You're not trucking grapes from one section to the next. So it's advantageous. This is our Howe Mountain winery. We have a great little tasting room. We encourage everybody when all this COVID stuff goes away, that you'll be able to come and visit us up there. Both estates are just gorgeous. And on our Howe Mountain property, we have a 12,000 square foot cave. In the cave, we have our little wine cellar here. So that's what you're viewing at this photo is some of our library wines, and of course some of the owner's collection, and some of our personal collection that we like to taste. But we age all of our wines in the cave. Here's the shot of the cave, and the cave is designed to hold about 500 barrels, so about 2 years of our production. So overall total, we do about 3,000 to 4,000 cases of our Howe Mountain wine, 1,000, 2,000 cases of our Mount Veeder wine, and then our Napa Valley wine has grown to be about 4,000 cases or 5,000 cases as well. So we make a small amount of Chardonnay from our Oakville property, which is really fun.
Well,
hey, Rob Bialy.
There you go. Awesome. Well, you also make your own wine under your name as well.
Yeah, no, I have my Capio Pinots, which I've been doing for 25, 26 years. I make those up at the O'Shaughnessy winery, and it's really great. Most of my stuff coming from Russian River, which is, I think one of the best appellations out there for Pinot Noir. I also get some fruit down in San Lucia Highlands, and we work with a lot of different varietals, have a lot of fun. It's what it's all about. And we had a tough year this year in 2020, so we're all looking forward to 2021 bringing us some great fruit and new adventures in the wine world.
Hopefully a little bit of rain too.
Yeah, we could use a little more rain. Yeah.
Has it rained at all up there at this year? Because it hasn't rained in LA. I think maybe it rained one day this in the last.
Yeah, we've gotten a few storms that have come through. We're pretty far behind, and the weather's been pretty warm. Like you guys have had really hot weather, I think, down there. And we're I think the last couple of days we've been in the 70s. I think we almost hit 80 over the weekend. So that's unusual, but we're supposed to get a turn. I think the next day or two, it's dropping back down, and we're looking. The forecast is for some storms coming in the end of this week into the weekend. So that'll be nice. It'll still tell us we're in the winter, not in summer.
Well, the great thing about Zoom is that we're able to get you guys all on the cast at the same time in different places, and all of you are safe in your different places. And I don't know if any of us would have gone onto a Zoom for a wine tasting 2 years ago. So now, hopefully you guys have enjoyed this enough that you'll join us again. We are continuing to produce quite a few of these over the next few months. And I want to just put a little commercial in for what our hard team is working on. Alexandra, are you on the Zoom tonight? Alexandra was on earlier, and she has been our winery coordinator. Alicia is on the phone on the Zoom here tonight. We've got Gabby in the office, and Matthew helping me with all of the pouring and the prep and all that stuff, and then a team of people to help us with the design. And the whole goal was to make it through this year. We're not getting rich doing this, but we are staying busy and keeping the team whole, and hopefully providing something for us for the future. Next month, we're bringing an event called Rhone Warriors to Zoom, and the list of wineries that have signed up is also really, really impressive, just like tonight. We'll be back in March with the Napa Valley Vintners Tour. And in April, we have something coming. I don't even know what it is right now, but we will do something like this once a month until it's time to do something else. But we love doing these type of things and keeping really busy. We're doing dinners. We have a Michelin star chef doing a dinner with us next week with Mr. Kermit Lynch, and he'll be hosting the wines, and Chef Christopher Emmy, one of the top chefs in Los Angeles, will be doing the food. So if you want to do the Loire Valley expertise, he was born and raised in the Loire Valley, and Kermit Lynch is a huge importer of Loire Valley wines. So we were able to pull the whole world together on Zoom. And sure enough, there goes Sean. I can still hear you though.
Hopefully I'll come back here.
His battery's dead.
That's awesome. Well, anybody have any comments or questions? Did I miss anything, Alicia? The chat, everyone was so complimentary on the chat tonight. I think everyone's so relaxed and all right, that's cool. Greg likes email.
Yeah, great wine on Wednesday. It was perfect. Great wines. Thank you, Ian.
Thanks, Ragnar. Thank you, buddy. Top quality stuff. And after this email, or after tonight, you're going to get an email, like a thank you email from us with an invitation to buy the wines directly from all these wineries. They would love to have a relationship with you, invite you to come see them, get their invitations to buy their small lots, made in snake skin or whatever it is that they're doing special on the side. But really to have a relationship with these folks and be able to go up and see them when you can. And that'll be really cool. And I know now you've tasted some awesome stuff here tonight that these guys will hear from you in the future, if not ordering it off of a wine list or or potentially just picking it up and sharing it with your friends and continuing the story. That's how wine works. So we really thank you guys, all the vintners that joined us tonight, and the donations that you made to the silent auction. The auction will remain open until Sunday. Typically, it's the winemakers themselves that are the biggest bidders until our members get a little bit of excitement behind them. But the vintners themselves usually get in there because they know some of these bottles are special, and there's some big bottles out there and some trips and all kinds of cool stuff. So check that out. And we hope that you will join us again very, very soon, and tell your friends. We'd love to have more groups. And I want to thank Jim Brammer and his wife for getting his friends on the Zoom with us. It was so nice to have you both. Marcia, thank you very much. And yeah,
Ian, thank you for a great evening. Just great to see you, and a wonderful evening with the winemakers.
Why, thank you so much. Thank you guys. You said there was a question, Alicia.
She's asking the question to Anthony. Tannins are wonderful. Are the amphora glazed inside, or is there full exchange with the Terra Cotta?
Good question. Yeah.
It was my fault.
Okay. So yeah, they're it's unglazed, unwaxed. Like, you know, some countries they'll use beeswax to line it, but these are unglazed, and that really lets for the you know, allows the full exchange, the micro oxygenation, and also lets you reuse them every year as well.
How thick is the terracotta?
It's about 3 inches, and it's, you know, that clay is known for its strength. That's why it's, you know, been valued for thousands of years. But yeah, it's they can crack. You know, we've lost a couple soldiers in the cellar. Just take someone lowering a pallet jack a little too quickly. They're pretty sturdy.
Question I had is, you may have these for years, right? Maybe decades.
Yeah, in theory, you know, unlike oak, which, you know, we'll go through just twice, you know, 2 vintages of. With the terracotta, you can use them indefinitely until you know, scrap it somehow.
Yeah,
I have a suggestion. Save your receipts. Ian, you remember we were down in Chile?
Yeah.
And they had no idea where the vessels came from. They were saying, we got them from our grandfather.
Yeah.
We'll save the receipts.
D Martino Winery has got these 100-year-old ceramics from a little town in the southern part of Chile, and they stopped making them 50 years ago. Everybody died that knew how to make them, and that nobody knows how to make them anymore.
Yeah. I mean, sadly, that's what was happening in even regions like Georgia and Armenia, which, you know, they say all winemaking started there thousands of years ago. And, you know, with the Soviet occupation, or whatever you call it, they were losing some of that tradition. And so it was kind of this dying art that they're trying to revive, but you know, it almost went extinct.
Well, I want to thank everyone again for joining us. And I know there's more questions, but our winemakers, we've gone way over, and they may have some other responsibilities. We want to thank everyone, and I'll stay on board and ask any questions I can. But if you guys are cool to hang out, great. But please understand, we're at almost 2 hours on the Zoom. I did not intend it to go this long, but it's great when it does. And I just think that the wine and the audience tonight really made the event great for me. It just kind of flew by. And tell me, Alicia, who's the question from? So the question about the 2020 vintage, and I can tell you firsthand, because I didn't make a 2020 vintage. A lot of producers will skip the vintage because you either needed to or wanted to, and if you were able to escape it, good for you. But you will be one of the few wineries to make a 2020 up in Northern California. I think there'll be a lot of wineries that took the vintage off, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. But Sean, you guys skipped on 2020, right?
Yeah, we were right on the front line of the fires in 2020. You know, Howell Mountain was probably one of the most affected appellations, and where our winery was located, we're right on the edge of the Bell Canyon, and the fires came roaring over the Bell Canyon, roared right through our property. And it was pretty early in the growing season, and not only were we affected by the first fire, but the second fire was the one that really hit us hard. And yeah, the wines just were, the grapes were too adversely affected for us to make any wine. We did some trial batches, and we just confirmed that you know, the wine was not going to make it. And
The
other
real
areas
thing
in
about-
Napa were differently affected, you know, because we're represented in these other appellations. But we made a choice that we're not making wine from any of our properties in 2020. But it differs, and people were differently affected. So.
Mm-hmm.
We did the same here. We
Same.
didn't make any reds from 2020.
2020 reds in Monterey County.
Yeah, we had 2 bad fires, and most of our Pinots affected by the smoke taint, and we didn't pick any reds this year.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was rough. I had the same problems in Russian River as Jim's talking about, and Santa Lucia Highlands also had a really terrible fire, so we didn't pick anything from the Santa Lucia Highlands. So, you know, those places where I'm at were.
It's the fires this year in 2020 were just at the wrong time. That's the difference between it and many of the other vintages that we had fires. You know, some of the other fires may have been, you know, in the different areas. But in 2020, they were like everywhere, and the timing was just absolutely wrong. You couldn't even harvest your fruit if you wanted to, because it was so smoke induced and covered and just sitting there in smoke for such a long period of time at the wrong time. So that's why it became a tough choice. Now, with that said, 2020 could produce some great wines. It depends on who you are and where your vineyards were located. But if you had you know, some really adverse conditions and you had the opportunity not to make the wine, it's probably best you didn't. So that too. Hi, Simone Lynn. How are you?
Hi, Ian. It's been a long time.
It has been a long time. Wow.
Yes.
Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Hi, Kelly. How are you? Is that your name, Kelly? I see you, Kelly. Thanks for joining us. Dick and your wife, is it Svek?
Yes, it is.
Pleasure to have you both.
Thank you. It's nice being here.
I'm glad you could join us tonight. Did you get the wines tonight too?
Yes, we did. They were great.
And
that's our son that's on Kelly's.
Ah, look at that.
Yeah, it's a family affair.
Fantastic. Good. And what was your favorite tonight, Dick?
Number 7, I think.
The Shaughnessy.
Was Shaughnessy.
Right.
Yeah.
Great. Well, Sean's camera's definitely gone by now. I can't believe he made it through the whole presentation.
Thanks, guys. I'm going to hop off, Ian. Appreciate it so much.
Thanks, Mark. Thank you very much, buddy.
You guys. Thanks, you guys. Bye-bye.
And again, we're going to send out that email to everybody at this point, and we thank you. It's been a wonderful time spending tonight with you. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Ian.
See you again.
Thanks
so much. Take care.
Thank you, everyone.
Everybody.
Thank you,
Bye,
Ames.
everyone.
Thank you, Pete.
Thank you.
Jerry. Thanks, Jen and Josh. Lauren.
Thank you, Ian. This was fantastic. We really loved it.
Really great.
Awesome, guys.
By the way, we opened up a bottle of your wine.
All right.
last night.
It's really good. The Beekeeper's Zinfandel, the 2014, really nice.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
That guy right there is the beekeeper guy.
Oh.
That didn't get tasted tonight.
Here's the beekeeper guy.
Yeah, we've got a couple.
We thoroughly enjoyed it.
Could open that.
Thank you,
Oh,
guys.
that's really cute. Another
And
couple.
I gotta say, like, these are 7 wineries we've never heard of, and we enjoyed each and every one of them. Thank you.
I couldn't have asked for it to work out better. The stars truly did align tonight. So thank you guys for being here. It made it even better.
We'll see you on Saturday.
All right.
Hey, Ian, if I have
Bye, Dad. Bye, Mom and Dad.
Bye.
Fantastic. Hey, Ian, I have a lower end Vinmar, like you buy on the internet, like the kind of, they have like 3 tiers. I have the lower end Chard. How long would you hold that before opening it? I have a 2018.
Oh, you're fine. Yeah,
think?
you got. I think 5 years.
Drink it
is the number. 5 years is the number. You want to drink that before 5. Yeah. Thank you, Jim. Thanks, Marshall.
Thanks again.
Bye, guys. Bye, Hector. Bye. See you. Good night.
Let's not forget, Ian, we'll all be together back in Peninsula soon.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, you bet.